Before the smoke from the cannons existed, before the metallic sound of the tanks echoed over the land, Rome had already created its own monster. Imagine the battlefield covered in dust, the sun burning the armor, and between screams and steel, a guttural roar tears through the air. He was not a man, it wasn't a horse. It was the four-legged terror that made even the barbarians retreat, the Canis Pugnax, Rome's war dog. Forged in the fire of ancient wars, it was not created for companionship, but to kill. A muscular body, predatory eyes, and blind loyalty to command. Rome molded him as an extension of her legions, a warrior who did not speak but obeyed to the death. Few today remember his name, but to the soldiers who marched with him, the Canis Pugnax was more than an animal. It was the symbol of the discipline and brutality that built the empire. And to understand how this beast was born, we need to go back to the origins, before Rome ruled the world, when the Greeks created monsters in the mountains of Epirus. So this introduction already gave you goosebumps. Imagine what comes next. You're about to discover a part of Rome that almost no one knows about, the story of a warrior who didn't use a sword, but his teeth. Before continuing, leave your like now, so that more people know this forgotten side of the empire. Subscribe to the channel and join those who keep the flame of history alive. Each new inscription helps Rome to be reborn, and you to be part of those who do not let the past die. Comment below. Rome lives in me, and show that the glory of the empire still echoes among us. On the rocky slopes of Epirus, where the wind howled between the mountains of ancient Greece, shepherds fashioned a creature the world would learn to fear. It was the Molosser, a gigantic dog, bred to guard flocks and face wolves, but with the heart of a warrior. His eyes shone like embers, and his body was pure muscle and endurance. Aristotle described him as an animal of indomitable courage. And the Romans, ever on the lookout for power, soon took notice. They saw him not as a guardian, but as raw material. They imported these dogs, crossing them with barbaric breeds, more agile, unpredictable, and bloodthirsty. The result was something never seen before: the Pugnax kennel, a four-legged soldier. Weighing nearly 50 pounds, with dark fur and jaws capable of breaking bones, this dog was more than a product of nature. It was the product of war. Rome had created a living weapon, an extension of its own military soul. And when the Canis Pugnax advanced upon the enemy, there was not an animal to be seen, but the spirit of the empire roaring in flesh and tooth. With power on the rise and bloodlust fueling the people, Rome found a new stage for its creature, the arena. Canis Pugnax left the battlefields to become part of the greatest spectacle on earth. Under the blazing sun of the Colosseum, surrounded by screams and the smell of iron and sweat, he awaited the signal of the guards. The chains were falling, and all hell broke loose. These dogs were not just animals, they were gladiators, trained to attack the smell of blood, ignore pain, and fight to the last breath. They hunted criminals, prisoners, and even exotic beasts, lions, tigers, and giant boars. Before each combat, they were left fasting, hungry, transformed into pure, controlled fury. The crowd was delirious, not out of pity, but out of fascination. And some of these dogs became legends, receiving names and applause as if they were heroes. Rome extolled them, but the true purpose of Canis Pugnax was yet to come. The empire would soon discover that this beast could serve in something much greater than spectacle. It could serve in war. When Rome realized that the blood shed in the spectacles no longer satisfied her hunger for power, she decided to turn terror into a tactic. The Canis Pugnax left the Colosseum and marched to the borders of the empire. The legions adopted him as part of their deadly gear. Inspired by the barbarian dogs they faced, beasts used by Celts and Germans, the Romans decided to perfect their own creation. They crossed the Pugnax kennels with wild breeds from the north, increasing their strength and endurance. But what really set him apart was something that no enemy possessed: discipline. While the barbarian dogs attacked blindly, those of Rome awaited command, recognized allies, and protected their masters with absolute obedience. They marched alongside the soldiers for miles, slept in the camps, and guarded the borders as sentinels. His training was as rigorous as that of a legionnaire, learning to ignore chaos, resist pain, and strike only under command. There, in the countryside, under the cold and dust, the Canis Pugnax ceased to be a beast of spectacle. He became a soldier. In the campaigns that shaped the fate of the ancient world, the Canis Pugnax marched side by side with the men who would write history. In 101 BC, at the bloody Battle of Vercellae, Cimbrian barbarian tribes unleashed their dogs against the Roman legions. They were uncontrolled beasts, willing to die for their owners. Rome observed, learned, and improved. Shortly thereafter, the Romans themselves began to use their dogs as auxiliary infantry. They attacked at night, breaking through enemy fences, sniffing out ambushes and guarding camps. No alarm was more accurate than the guttural growl of a Canis Pugnax in the darkness. During Julius Caesar's campaigns in Gaul and Britain, accounts mentioned dogs marching with troops, carrying small bags of supplies, protecting generals, and even tracking deserters. In wilderness regions such as Germania and Dacia, they became indispensable. Their barks warned of impending attacks, and their presence inspired fear into even the bravest barbarian warriors. Rome had created something more than a weapon. It had created a comrade in war. And under the banner of the eagle, even the gods seemed to respect the fidelity of these dogs. As Rome reached the apex of its dominance, the Canis Pugnax became a silent symbol of absolute loyalty. On every border, on every fortification, there was a Roman dog watching. In the castros, the military camps, they did more than guard. They were sentinels of the Roman soul. They detected the enemy before human eyes, defended warehouses, protected prisoners, and when necessary, died on the body of the master himself. The legions treated them as brothers in arms. They received special rations, rest, and even improvised medical care. Many veterans, when they left the army, took with them their faithful companion, the same one who had watched over his freezing nights in Germania and had followed him into bloody battles. The relationship between man and animal went beyond military logic. It was a pact of trust, forged in blood and fear. And in the midst of the brutality of the empire, Canis Pugnax proved that even war could breed pure loyalty. Which moment of rupture is more decisive for you? Birth, arena, or war? Comment below and leave your like. This helps Rome to live again through history. As the centuries passed, Rome began to crumble, not just in its walls, but in its spirit. The legions that once dominated the world now splintered between civil wars and weakened borders. And with the empire, the Canis Pugnax also began to disappear. The great armies gave way to mercenaries, and the old military doctrines were lost. The Roman war dog, once trained with rigor and reverence, was forgotten, crossed with other breeds, or abandoned. The arenas were empty, the legions no longer marched, and the bark that once echoed like thunder on battlefields was silenced by time. But here and there, in the villages and in the ruins, a distant descendant was still to be seen, guarding homes, accompanying veterans, or guarding the shadows of temples. The Canis Pugnax had become a ghost of ancient glory, and with each passing generation, its image was diluted in history, until only the echo of a race shaped by war and fidelity remained. Even after the collapse of the empire, the spirit of Canis Pugnax did not die. He just changed shape, crossing the centuries disguised in new races. The Neapolitan Mastiff, with its colossal strength and watchful eye, and the Cane Corso, with its courage and loyalty, are direct heirs of that dog that once marched under the banner of the Roman eagle. Our modern world may have forgotten the name, but instinct has survived. Each bark of protection, each act of unconditional fidelity carries fragments of the soul of that four-legged warrior. Museums display statues and mosaics where a dog accompanies the soldier, silent, steady, immortalized in stone. These details are not decorative, they are confessions of an ancient bond forged on the battlefield. Rome may be gone, but Canis Pugnax lives on in every descendant who guards a home, protects a child, or faces danger without hesitation. He is the reminder that strength is not only in weapons, but in loyalty. Amid the ruins of the empire, much is said about generals, senators, and emperors, but almost no one remembers those who wore neither armor nor a crown, the dogs who fought and died anonymously. Canis Pugnax does not appear in the official chronicles, but its history is etched in the silences between the lines, in the forgotten scars of Roman civilization. These dogs marched through storms, crossed frozen rivers, slept on snow, and died defending men who would never be remembered. While the gods received temples and the heroes, statues, they received only the dust. And yet his loyalty never wavered. They represented something that Rome, in its glory and decadence, had never been able to destroy: pure fidelity. Today, as we remember the empire that shaped the world, we should also remember the paws that marched among the legions. For in them, Rome found the most sincere reflection of her strength and perhaps of her humanity. Centuries have passed, but if you close your eyes and imagine a Roman battlefield, you can still hear the distant echo of a growl. It was Canis Pugnax, the dog that fought not for glory but for loyalty, a silent companion who accompanied the greatest empire on earth and disappeared without asking for anything in return. History has forgotten him, but his spirit remains. It lives in every dog that protects its owner, in every firm gaze that defies fear. The Canis Pugnax was not just a weapon, it was a symbol of the bond between man and courage. And now that you know his story, the question is, doesn't this warrior deserve the same respect as the heroes of Rome? If this story touched you, leave your like and comment. Rome lives in the memory of those who do not forget. Subscribe to the channel for more hidden stories of the empire and share this video with those who love the grandeur and mystery of Rome. The roar of empire still echoes in the paws that marched with honor.